My Mother at 66 by Kamala Das. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me. Doors open mouthed, her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized with pain that she was as old as she looked. But soon put that thought away and looked out at young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her worn, pale, as a late winter's moon, and felt that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear. But all I said was, "See you soon, Amma," and all I did was smile and smile and smile. In this short, beautiful composition, My Mother at 66 by Kamala Das, the poetess, expresses her sense of sadness, pain, and sufferings, which she experiences at the realization of the fact that her mother has become old, her face has become dull, withered, and lifeless, and that her end was near. She realizes that her mother was at the edge of life. Soon the curtain of life will fall upon her, and the cruel hands of fate would snatch her mother away from her, and the two of them, the mother and the daughter, would be separated forever. So the situation is the poetess must have been visiting her mother for a few days, and now she's going back. So from the village to the airport, Cochin airport, it is quite a distance, and the mother of the poetess is accompanying her daughter, that is the poetess herself, to the airport to see her off there. Now, they are sitting in a car, and because the journey is a bit long, the mother has dozed off. She is sleeping in a sitting position by the side of the poetess. So here we go. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning. The poetess is traveling from her village, from her parents' home to the Cochin airport. It happened on the Friday morning, she said, and her mother sat beside her in the car. So driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother. She looked at her. Now, why does she mention I saw her? Didn't she see her before? No. When you look at something with a lot of feelings and emotions, that sight becomes printed on your memory plane, and you experience the result, the emotions, the upheaval of looking at that sight. So when she looked at her mother's face, instantly she experiences a sense of sadness and pain, realizing that she was old and she was at the edge of life. So she looked at her mother. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother doze open-mouthed because she was in a sitting posture. So she was sleeping, her head lolled back, and her mouth was open. Her face ashen like that of a corpse. The poetess realizes that her mother had lost her youthful strength and vitality, the radiance of the young age, and she had become very old. She was at the age of 66, and her face had become dull, withered, and lifeless. Her face had become dull like that of a corpse, like that of a dead body. Her face was dull and withered like the face of a dead body. Here the figure of speech is simile. The poetess mother's dull and withered face has been compared with the dull and withered face of a dead body, and realized with pain. The poetess realized with pain. She experiences a painful realization that she was as old as she looked, that she had become extremely old. She was at the edge of life, and soon the cruel hands of fate would snatch her mother away from her, and the two of them, the mother and the daughter, would be separated forever. But soon put that thought away. Which thought the thought that her mother was at the edge of life and the two of them would be separated forever. She tries to get rid of this thought. She tries to shrug off this thought from her mind because it was an unbearably painful thought. So she tries to get rid of it. And what does she do to get rid of this painful thought? She looks out of the window of the car and looked out at young trees sprinting. When she looks out, she finds that the trees were sprinting in the opposite direction. Now, this is an optical illusion. When you move in a particular direction at a high speed, now things on either side of yours appear to be sprinting, running fast in the opposite direction. So this is an optical illusion. And she also looked at some merry children, happy children spilling out of their homes, that is bursting out of their homes, like after a spell of confinement in the house. Say, for example, the parents ask their children to complete their homework first, and then only they are allowed to go outside to play. So, after such spell of confinement, when the children get freedom to go outside and play games, they jump with joy and jubilation and they burst out of their homes. Right? Now, this image of the sprinting trees in the opposite direction and the children bursting out of their homes provide a contrasting background to the dull, lifeless and withered face of the mother. Sprinting trees symbolize strength and energy, and children bursting with energy symbolize growth of fresh life. So this image of the sprinting trees and the happy children, merry children bursting out of their homes provide a contrasting background to the dull and withered face of the mother and highlights the dull, withered face of the poetess mother. But after the airport's security check, now they arrived at the airport, and the people who arrive at the airport to see off their friends and relatives, they are allowed only to the security checkpoints. They are not allowed inside the airport building. So at the security check, now this is the time for the mother to go back to the village and the poetess to enter the airport building and board on her plane for her journey. So now the time has come when she has to say bye to her mother. Alright, but after the airport's security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her worn pale. Once again, the thought, the unbearably painful thought, the fear of separation from the mother strikes back with a lot of strength, with a lot of jolt, shocking the poetess. Alright. So she once again looked at her worn means dull and lifeless, pale, that is colorless, dull face. It refers to the poetess mother. As a late winter's moon, she once again looked at her mother's face and experiences that sadness and misery of being separated from her. And I looked again at her worn, pale, as late winter's moon. Here the mother's face has been compared with late winter's moon. Late winter's moon is lackluster. The late winter's moon is lackluster. It lacks the brightness and the shine which it has in the other seasons. It is because of the foggy atmosphere. Alright. So the late winter's moon, the mother's face has been compared with late winter's moon because the moon was also dull, like the mother's face. And there is one more point that can be written in favor of the other as to why this comparison is appropriate, adequate. It's because late winter's moon is dull and lackluster, and moreover, late winter's moon symbolizes the end of a season. Here, the dullness on the mother's face symbolizes the end of her life. Therefore, the comparison between the poetess mother's face and the late winter's moon is appropriate. Once again, the figure of speech here used by the poetess is simile. The mother's face has been compared with late winter's moon, and the comparison is direct, drawn with the help of the word as. So, and felt that old familiar ache. So when she looks at her mother's dull face, she experiences the same fear of being separated from her mother, and she calls it her familiar ache because this fear of separation keeps haunting her mind time and again, And this feeling of misery, pain and sadness is known to her. She has experienced it over and over again, and she calls it my childhood's fear. It's because the poetess must have been very intimately bound up with her mother, very closely related to her mother, and when a person is very intimately bound up with some other person, then the fear of losing that person, the fear of being separated from that person always haunts the person who is in intimate relationship with someone. So, the poetess calls it her childhood's fear because the poetess has experienced the fear of being separated from the mother right from her childhood. So, this fear is addressed to as, described as my childhood's fear. But all I said was, see you soon, Amma. And all I did was smile and smile and smile. Now, the point has come when she has to say bye to her mother. Now, at the time of parting, the poetess says, see you soon, Amma. The words appear to be reassuring to the mother that they would meet again. But actually, the parting words, the words which apparently mean assurance, actually express the poetess' fear that they might never meet again. And this might turn out to be their last meeting. And all I did was smile and smile and smile. The poetess uses her smile as a mask to hide her expression of pain and fear upon her face. So smile is being used as a mask, and the words, the parting words of assurance, express the poetess' fear that her mother's end was near, and this might turn out to be their last meeting, and they might never meet again. So that's the end of the poem. Any questions if you have?